Am I the asshole for telling everyone that my mom got me fired and asking them for money? I, 18 female, had my first real job out of high school. I was working in a warehouse and I was going to apprentice as a parts technician. My dad helped me get the job. My mom hates that I didn't have a girly job. She would constantly call and even showing up there. I told her to please stop. That my boss didn't like her interruptions of my day. She would stop for a bit and then do it again. I finally blew my top at her and told her to leave me the F alone at work. She went on Facebook and complained about how I was an ingrate for not wanting to see my mom. A bunch of people started saying that I was being mean to my mom and that she meant well and that she wasn't hurting me. Last week she showed up again. She actually tried to come in the back when I would not come out to see her. My boss was done. I was fired. My dad says he will help me get another job, but I am pissed. So I went on Facebook and found every person who had called me mean and that said she wasn't hurting me. I spelled out why I got fired and I asked them to help me out with some money since her actions had cost me my job. Now all of a sudden they are turning on her, calling her overbearing and saying they didn't realize she was jeopardizing my employment. But none have sent any money. I don't really need it. I live with my dad and he says that as long as I'm in school or apprenticing I don't need to pay for anything except my phone. My mom keeps calling and texting me asking me to stop telling people that she got me fired. And that I'm embarrassing her by asking the people who supported her for money. I think that I'm in the right for showing everyone who she is. My dad says that he's staying out of it. He said that the way she acts is the reason they got divorced. Not the asshole, she got you fired, you told people the truth of what happened. I wouldn't tell her where you work next time. Also I would warn your future boss. If she keeps doing it, note. This is extreme, document and report. Not the asshole. Fuck around and see. Hope she's happy. When you get another job I wouldn't tell her where. I'm sorry this happened to you. You'll have to find ways to manage her so she doesn't interfere with your job or future plans. Lol, I'm gonna go not the asshole in this situation. Ballsy, but very funny. I'd not ask for money in a serious way, but it is very funny and warranted to let people know that her shit was jeopardizing your employment and did cause you to get fired. Your mom can't blast you on social media and pull the poor pitiful mom wants to see her baby girl act while telling you that you can't set the record straight. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter she can't go to her dream school but paying for my son to go to his? I'm 49 male and I have 2 children, Jake, 23, and Nikki, 17. Their mother and I are divorced. I have full custody and she sends no support. Both of my kids are good kids and good students with good grades. Jake got into his dream school but didn't get any scholarships. His undergrad school is one of the best school in our part of the country and it's expensive. I didn't want him to take out loans and have to carry a debt, so I'm paying for his tuition and living expenses. The total cost is roughly $50,000 a year. He's following in our family tradition and pursuing a career in dentistry. I'm not a dentist, but we have about a dozen dentists and oral surgeons in our family. I will also be paying for his dentistry degree. While I know it will be costly, I view this as a good investment as he'll have a starting salary of about $120,000 as a dentist in our area. If he decides to become an oral surgeon, his starting salary will almost double that figure. Nikki is a senior in HS. Like her brother, she's a good student and will have a good chance of getting into her dream school, but she has a low chance of getting any scholarships. Her dream school is also a very good one located in the middle of a very expensive city. Tuition and living expenses will be roughly $75,000 a year. The problem is that she's dreamt of being a teacher since she was little and have made it clear she will be an education major because she wants to be a middle school teacher. The other problem is that the salary for middle school teachers in our area is $48,000, $60,000 in our area. I fully realize that she can move and work elsewhere, but I can't imagine there are many middle school teachers in the US making 6 figures. I don't view paying $300,000 plus for a career that tops out at $60,000 as a wise investment. I told my daughter that the state school that's 2 hours away have a good education program and her in-state tuition and living expenses will only be about $20,000 a year. I view paying $80,000 for a teaching degree as a much better investment. I've tried discussing the matter with Nikki, but she gets distraught every time I've brought it up. She cries and accuses me of favoring Jake and being a sexist, which is not true. I told her if she picks a major with a $100,000 starting salary, I'll gladly pay for her to go to her dream school, but there's no way I'm paying $300,000 for her to be a teacher. Now she's got family members involved. Some are staying out of it, some agree with me, and some are telling me not to play favorites. I feel terrible, so I'm beginning to doubt myself. Am I wrong? Edit to answer a recurring question. I thought I made it clear, but apparently I didn't. I'm not limiting Nikki's education to $20,000 a year. I told her that's the max I'm willing to pay for her education degree. I'm more than happy to pay $75,000 a year if she picks another degree that will have a better return. For a while she thought about being a doctor and fell in love with England. We have family there, so I even offered to pay for her to go to Oxford, which will be double the cost of her brother's tuition. But she's adamant about being a middle school teacher, and I'm unwilling to spend $300,000 that I worked hard for on an education degree. Edit to add. Oxford is hard to get into. I know that she won't be able to just walk in. I meant for her to apply, and if she got in, I'm willing to pay the cost of that school and the expense of living in an expensive country if her degree earning potential warrants that cost. Edit to answer a recurring question number 2. Why did I bring up the family tradition? Am I an elitist? Why does it matter? I brought it up because getting into dental schools and graduating is tough. The reason why we have so many in our family is because we help each other out. The dentists and oral surgeons in the family happily tutor and give valuable internship experiences that would otherwise not be available. People who pursued the dental career in our family have never failed because we don't allow them to fail. Last semester my brother spent weeks tutoring our niece to prepare her for her state board exam, and she passed in one try. You are the asshole. This whole post reeks of favoritism. I hope the dentist switches to an art major halfway through. You are the asshole. To be fair, you should at least pay what you are paying for your son's education and let her take out student loans for the rest. You are the asshole. You are clearly favoriting your son here. He's following the family traditions and you're happy to take on a load of debt for him, but you won't do the same for your daughter because her career choice is a problem. You'll only take on debt for your child if they do the careers you want them to do. Go back to your daughter before you lose her. Am I the asshole for taking back our groceries that my wife gave to her sister? My wife, 30, has a younger sister, 28, with 4 kids. My sil is a married som and her husband, 31, works 35 hours per week. Money is tight for them, but they still go on annual vacations, drive newer cars, etc. My wife and I keep separate finances except for a joint credit card and household bill. I also do most of the grocery shopping. This is relevant for later. A couple years ago, I found out my wife had been buying groceries for my sil on our joint card, about $150–200 per month for a few months. She said that her sister had come to her saying they were tight on money and that she needed help feeding their kids. This about a month after they had got back from their most recent vacation in Mexico. I told my wife in no uncertain terms that I am not supporting their family. She argued with me saying that we could more than afford it. I replied that I don't care if she wanted to support them, but that's her business. My wife stopped buying them groceries on our joint card after, but I'm sure she told her sister because Sil has been standoffish since. In the last few months grocery costs have been increasing thanks to inflation. As a cost-saving measure, I bought a whole cow for about $4,000, which works out to about $9 per pound and will last us more than a year, and my wife and I split the cost. Yesterday I went to the freezer to pull some steaks and saw the amount of beef was visibly lower. I checked our security cameras and saw my wife leaving the house with a big box. I texted her demanding to know if she had taken a bunch of our meat to Sil, and she replied yes. I grabbed Sil's keys, we have a copy, drove to their house, knocked on her door, and when Sil answered I told her that and I was taking back what my wife brought over. Sil protested saying I was taking food out of her kids' mouths, but I said I don't care. She already had one roast in the oven. I went to their freezer and they had about 40–50 pounds of ground beef, steaks, and roasts from our cow, including a couple prime rib roasts. I grabbed it all except the roast in the oven and drove home. My wife yelled at me saying she couldn't believe how selfish I was and that Sil called her crying. She also said that she paid for half of it and so she could do whatever she liked with it. I yelled back saying you don't get to decide to give away anything that we pay for together, and said she acted like a sneak thief for doing it behind my back. My wife is still angry at me and says until I apologize to her sister, return the meat that I took back, and apologize for calling her a thief, she won't speak to me. I may be the asshole because my wife pays half the groceries. I think that Sil is lying to your wife. They take vacations. How does your wife not see that she is playing her? Next, if she is really hurting for food, there is help out there. Not the asshole. But you shouldn't have called your wife a thief. She was in her mind helping. Not the asshole. Die on this hill if need be. At least you'll have more cow to eat. Not the asshole. I would have done the same thing you did. Your wife can only be pissed off at herself for doing what she did. Your Sil is obviously not hurting for money as much as she says she is. She is just trying to take advantage of you to save some money for stupid shit probably. Am I the asshole for keeping my ex's possessions and not shipping them back? I, 23F, just got out of a long-term relationship with Mike, 24M, of 2 years. We did mid-distance so we never got to see much of each other. There was miscommunication and I ended up cheating on him with a friend. He found out via a mutual friend so he called it off. I know what I did was wrong but this isn't about that. Mike left a few of his things at my house and asked me to visit him or at least meet me halfway to drop them off. I refused. Why should I travel for hours to drop his things off? He also said that because he spent so much money visiting me toward the end of our relationship. Though out we traveled 50-50 but I could never find the time to go to him so he came to me and said he didn't mind, that I should be willing to do this. I still maintain my position and told him I wouldn't be traveling. Then he asked me to mail his things to him but because of the value of the items, I refused as I don't want the blame if they get lost in the mail. I was venting to my friends and they said while it's understandable I don't want to travel and see him, that this is a selfish thing to do. Especially when he is asking me to mail them and cover the cost so I don't need to travel. So am I the asshole? It's his stuff, you cheated, he's only asking you to mail them. You can mail with insurance, be a nice human and do the right thing. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. You're just making excuses now and trying to get revenge for him ending it even though you cheated. You are the asshole. Ship the stuff and have him pay for insurance. I mean, it's very self-centered not to be willing to do that if you cared about him at all and he's willing to pay shipping. You are the asshole. If things ended mutually, the decent thing to do is make sure he gets his stuff back. But because you cheated, it's in your court to send the stuff back or drive it back. But you cheated so you probably don't really care about this anyway. Let me get this right. You cheat on him then rob him? The least you could do to show any ounce of being a good person is return his stuff. Even if you're too lazy to do so. You are the asshole. Obviously.